So working on the Supra that got towed in last week. Just a couple quick fixes. Firstly, O2 sensor was no good. We'd start the car, let it run, warm up, and then the wideband would just be stuck full lean. So we replaced that, called it good, sent it on its way. The next thing was and this one was my fault. I messed this one up. So I wired up the flex fuel sensor. So he ran the wiring inside the car, and then I just hooked it up to a DT connector basically. But what was happening was that the power would drop while you're cranking. So he actually had a power wire ran from his cigarette lighter to the ECU side, and that's what I used. And that one's on me. I should have checked it. I know better than that, and I should have checked it, but I didn't. And that explains why he had like really bad cold starts. Because what would happen is that when he would go to crank, the flex fuel sensor is already in the return line, which is not a bad way of doing it. Not ideal, but not a bad way of doing it. But it's on the return line. So what would happen is that you would go to crank and it would drop power, and the ECU would fail safe without seeing the sensor. And then after the car started, it would come back online, and then it wouldn't report a fault. So I ended up just finding power. I ran a new power wire from the fuse blocks on the inside of the car over to the ECU, and now it's got power. And now no fail safe here. There is an issue. He pinned this here, and the pins are coming loose, but this isn't really moving. You know, well, it was originally zip tied, and I cut the zip tie to give me a little bit of slack, but this isn't moving, so it should be fine. But yeah, so after that, we're ready to start put some ethanol in this one and start attacking our idle with the drive-by-wire stuff, and it should be out of here. Put some air in the tire on the Supra so we can get this thing on the road real quick and then check it out. I have driven some cars that have not been in the exact best of shape over the years of my life, but this one probably takes the cake. Speedometer don't work, common Supra problem. Speedometer don't work, turn signals don't do anything, temperature gauge probably is not even reading, who knows what else. Transmission is super noisy, smells like oil leaks, but hey, it's a Supra, right? Of course you got to add the E80. Look at me, I'm getting E85 in my non-flex fuel car shot. Alright, we got a bunch of stuff taken care of today on the Supra. As far as tuning goes, we got the drive-by-wire idle in pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with that. Another thing that I really am happy about is I got the speedometer to work. And not the speedometer on the dash. This is a very common issue here, but the speedometer on the BTI display. So if you look, so once you get speed set up, and the way you set up speed is just, you know, use a GPS speedometer app and then match it up. And then from there, you can actually calculate gear position. So the reason why gear position is important, it's not required, but it's important. You can trim your boost control based off of your gear, one. Secondly, you can do things like launch control without having to wire up an additional switch. So I got that working, and I'm super happy about that because that actually takes quite a bit of time, but got that dialed in and it's working. We were able to get the fuel table kind of dialed in. It's not, we could probably go a couple more rounds here to get the VE table dialed in, but that's kind of like what we're looking at here. This up top is artificially smooth out though, so don't think of that as like the actual fuel map. If you can look down here, the really weird wavy section down there, that's basically what I've covered, and that, you know, is going into boost. It's not quite all there yet, but it's pretty close, so real happy. I'll attach a video of me doing some runs with the speedo working though.